Okay, ladies and gents, boys and girls, what is going on Wednesday, September the 7th, 2022? Hope you're all doing well. Chris Phillips here, the Daily Crow of the Spurs Up Show. Appreciate you all tuning in. I jumped on. We had 5 comments before I even clicked the go live button. So you guys are in here. You're ready to rock. Again, appreciate you all tuning in here on this Wednesday, this hump day, Arkansas week. As we all know, had a jam-packed podcast drop this morning. And again, really excited to take your questions, your comments, and your calls at 843-790-3377. That is 843-790-3377. I see Daniel Graham, Travis Lee, Leonard Matthews, Chase Orvin, Chad Taylor, DC, Cody Gaskins, excuse me, Chase Floyd, Chris Miller, Brett Russ, Josh, John Edward, Stephen Borwell Jr., Travis Allen, Travie. What's up, guys? Appreciate you all tuning in. Also, those in the Big Cock Club Discord. Sorry about that. I bumped my own mic. Those in the Big Cock Club Discord, head over to the TDC Questions channel, to be sure that your questions are answered there. Guys, just in a couple of minutes, we will have our good friend Anthony Treash of Pro Football Focus. He will join us. So right now, excuse me, I'm going to go ahead and close up the phone lines because obviously we don't want the conversation with Anthony being interrupted. But really excited to talk with him, guys. Again, I think what's really cool about this and on a weekly basis, we're going to really talk the numbers and the analytics side with Anthony Treash, right? And really get his feedback on everything that happened, how certain guys graded, stuff like that. So really excited to get the feedback, like I said, from Anthony Treash and just hear what his thoughts were and what the numbers say about the Gamecocks' performance each and every single weekend. And, of course, guys, we'll also, of course, look at the game this weekend against Arkansas. Before we go any further, guys, of course, I want to tell you about our friends over at PrizePicks because the Daily Crow is brought to you by our friends at PrizePicks. We all love winning money, right? We talk gambling on the podcast today. Go download the PrizePicks app. Go to prizepicks.com. When you sign up, use the promo code TSUS. You're going to receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 when you sign up. Guys, they're literally giving you free money. And, of course, it's all prop plays. So over, under, passing yards, rushing yards, touchdowns, whatever it might be. Guys, it's a great opportunity to win money each and every single week with our friends over at PrizePicks. And you can gamble on anything, whether it be college sports, NBA, NHL, MLB. It does not matter, guys. That's the beauty of it. But, of course, there's no other book out there that has prop plays for college sports. PrizePicks is the way to go. And so many of our folks, I know so many of you out there, have won a ton of money playing with PrizePicks, so you all can vouch for it. Again, that's our friends over at PrizePicks. Go download the PrizePicks app or go to prizepicks.com. Use the promo code TSUS at sign up to receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100. And again, we appreciate our friends over at PrizePicks for their love and support of the Spurs Up Show. What's going on? Hey, appreciate you all. Thank you all so much for tuning in. We should be getting Anthony Treash in here in the next minute or so. Really excited to chat with Anthony. Stephanie Lee, what's going on? Appreciate you tuning in. Brett Russ. Again, I mentioned Daniel Graham. Let's see if we can get a question or two in here. David Garrick, people don't realize the difference between practice speed and game speed, and the difference between being in shape and being in game shape. That's a very good point. Hey, David, that's a very, very good point, my friend. Very, very good point indeed. You make a great point, my guy. Let's see. I saw somebody comment about, let's see, Braves and Mets. How about that? Tied atop the NL East. How about that? P-Doc is going through it right now. Chase Orvin. The negative feelings have finally blown over. Chase, I think it's just nobody wants to beat a dead horse. Now, Chase, we're going to talk about how does the week 1 performance, how does that play into looking at week 2? I don't think it was even like, that's the thing. It wasn't negativity. It was just a reaction to how the game on Saturday night went. Like, I just simply don't want to beat a dead horse all week. But, like, I stand by everything I said, and I will literally reiterate everything I said. The offensive line played horrifically. That's it, right? So, but we don't need to keep saying it over. Now we turn our attention to Arkansas. And now we turn our attention. Our good friend Anthony Treash, Pro Football Focus, is in the building. Anthony, what's up, man? How are you?
I'm good. Sorry if I look a little sweaty. Just got out of the gym, so I didn't know.
No, dude. Hey, you're good, man.
That's so
I
cool.
normally get my my gym session in right after this show. For those who are wondering, I like to kind of like cut my day in half. You know what I mean? We do this live show, then we hit the gym. But no, man, appreciate you taking the time. Obviously, I always look forward to chatting with you every single Wednesday. Hey, first things first, let me just ask you this because there were many games this weekend. How was it taking in all the football? I know you're a football junkie, you're a football guy. I'll tell you, man, yesterday, like having that first day without college football in like 5 days, it's kind of like oh man, like it's like going through withdrawals. How was it? How'd you enjoy your weekend watching all that football Thursday through Monday?
Yeah, man. It was. I thought about it actually too yesterday. I was like, man, we should have more football this week. I mean, I liked it. Like Thursday, you had some. Friday, like you said. It was good though. I had, of course, that wedding on Saturday, but found a way. We were streaming. I was on the party bus. I was watching North Carolina App State, that crazy game, and the nighttime came, and I saw the score of the South Carolina game. Didn't get a chance to watch it, and I was like, okay, they did kind of what I thought I did. Went back and watched. I was like, well, that didn't really. They got the end result, but the whole process to getting there wasn't quite as I was expecting. So it's an even more interesting matchup this week.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that because we've been talking about that obviously all week, Anthony. That when you look at the final score in the Gamecocks season opening victory against Georgia State, if you just looked at the score, you'd say, "Oh man, like things must have went really well." Spencer Rattler probably threw for 300. This offense was clicking on all cylinders, and like you mentioned, you go back and you watch the actual game and you realize the path to get there. It didn't quite go as planned, which again tends to happen in season openers. What I think so interesting talking with you, Anthony, each and every single week is you have a unique vantage point again from the numbers side of things and the grades and all that type of stuff. So let's start on the offensive side and let's just start with Spencer Rattler. You look at his numbers and I got his stats pulled up here. 23 of 37, 227 passing yards, a touchdown, 2 interceptions. But Anthony, I'm sure you saw this. He ranked at the bottom of SEC quarterbacks for QBR. Now, if you believe in QBR, if you don't, what have you, that doesn't really matter. So kind of a mixed bag for him statistically, though. You could argue that 2 interceptions, one of them went off the receiver's hands. The other, he admittedly, and of course I was in the stadium, he had the guy right in front of him and said he tried to make the big play. He knows for next time, or at least you think take what they give you. What do the numbers tell you about what Spencer Rattler did? I'm not sure if you got to see any highlights of his performance or go back and watch the game. Just your overall thoughts on his first game with South Carolina.
Oh yeah, went back and watched every single throw there. That's the beautiful thing about our database, can do that quickly. And it was kind of, this performance was kind of the performance that everybody thought Spencer Rattler has been, I would say. Because this was kind of, I would say, an outlierish bad day for him. It was one of his lowest graded games of his career. I mean, he had a passing grade in the low 50s, I believe. And he just had some of those just bad decisions, outside the pocket, trying to make a play. Like you said, that last point, that's just something he's got to clean up this year. And that was an issue in this one. He had 3 turnover-worthy plays for the game. You did see a couple of good throws in there. He definitely had some good moments, but at the end of the day, it was just a lot of, I wouldn't say a lot of, he just had a few type of plays where it was like, okay, you're trying to be a little too heroic here. But also too, at the same time, not all on him, right? Because the offensive line, I thought it wasn't great. Obviously everybody down there in South Carolina could recognize that after that game, going back and watching that. When you have almost every single offensive lineman allowing multiple pressures, it's just hard to kind of survive and, be a highly productive, efficient passing offense. So I think it wasn't a great situation. It wasn't a good day for Spencer Rattler, but it really wasn't for most of the people on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, again, and that's where you have to go, Anthony. Obviously, you mentioned the offensive line. Let's talk about them. And I know so many of our folks in our chat are sick of hearing about it. And I, after Monday, I was like, you know what, not going to beat a dead horse. But, it's the elephant in the room, man. The offensive line underperformed. It was atrocious. It was abysmal. And what was so disappointing, and what I don't know if, Anthony, you saw any of my banter or any of the chatter regarding the Gamecocks on social media, but it's crazy. I don't know that fans have ever felt so much of mixed emotions after a 21-point victory. Because on one hand, again, you win the game by 3 touchdowns. You beat a quality Georgia State team in a comfortable fashion. Comfortable, I put in air quotes. But again, the way you did it and the, just the conversation leading up to this game all preseason was about that offensive line, 129 career starts. And that was the question mark. And that was the deficiency. And that was the weak link last year. And it was just so disappointing to go through that season opener and to see what felt like no improvement. It almost looked like the offensive line looked worse than it did last year at times. What did you see from the Gamecocks offensive line? Do you think South Carolina Nation is overreacting to what they saw, or would you say there's real reason to have real concern for the rest of this year?
I think there's real reason. I thought with this group, I always said if anything's going to hold back the offense and really the team overall, it would be the offensive line. But there was, I want to give them the benefit of the doubt because they had the experience, and typically, just at the collegiate level in particular, especially at the Power Five, you see that growth. It just takes reps, right? And the more experience you have, the better off you're going to be in the long run. So there was reason to believe maybe this group could take a step forward despite having some, suspect play under their belt. But that just kind of continued in this one. And I think it's a little bit of a concern considering it was Georgia State, and it's going to get a little bit difficult from here on out, especially the next couple of weeks. I mean, we're going to find out pretty quickly whether or not, this offensive line is going to be a pretty significant issue through the end of the year. And so I wouldn't say it's time to, click the panic button, right? South Carolina's not panicking. I don't think there's any reason why they even would have, even if it was worse than what it was. But, they're not panicking. I don't think it's there yet. But I think if this week's an issue again, then I would get a little bit more worried. And then if Georgia kind of happens and it's the same story, then it's time to hit the panic button. And that's when it's time to be really, really concerned. So I wouldn't be completely out and thinking, okay, this is a lost cause where, we can't win with this. It's one game, that's the thing with like every single season. It's like, it's one game, it's week one, and everyone wants to overreact to week one. Right. And, you look at the opponents too, and it's like, okay, well, let's take a step back here. But in this case, it's kind of the same story, even though they get beat up by a lesser opponent. So it is a small worry. I think it's always been a small worry for me, but I think I would give them just a little bit more time to try and clean some things up.
Yeah, Anthony, to that point, you mentioned the season openers in week one. What's so funny, I was talking to Chris Doring of SEC Network about this, where it's like, what's kind of funny about week one is that there's so much, there's so many schools across the country, right? That like, hope springs eternal in the offseason. So there's so many schools with hype and optimism, and everybody thinks it's their year. And it's funny because when you're a school that's playing a quote unquote lesser opponent, it's almost like you can't win by enough. You know what I mean? Like you can't look good enough in week one to satisfy like the hunger and the, I have people asking me at the tailgate, like, what does Carolina need to do tonight to meet the hype and I'm like, I don't even know that they can. Like, I literally don't know. Like the only way you could do it is win like 50-0. And it's like, that's just not going to happen. You mentioned again, of course, the offensive line, great opportunity this weekend, right? If you can right the ship, I think many folks will forget about Georgia State very quickly. But it did not hold back a couple of skill position players from having a good game, most notably Jalen Brooks on the outside, 4 catches for 88 yards. Antoine Wells hauled in 7 catches for 55 yards. You then saw Marshawn Lloyd with touchdowns both on the ground and in the passing game, receiving touchdown. He had 11 carries for 30 yards and a touchdown, 2 catches for 31 and a touchdown. Jaheim Bell also 7 carries out of the backfield, averaged 5.6 yards per touch, which was the best of any of the Gamecocks ball carriers. Just talk about how guys on the offensive side graded for South Carolina and what you saw from the skill position players specifically.
Yeah, none of them were particularly great, but the one number that stood out to me, you said Juice Wells, and that right there shows me that, okay, it kind of verified what I thought would be the case in the preseason, that he's going to be a key piece in this offense. And, I really do think that just considering the talent that they, Spencer and Juice have, this could really be one of the better quarterback wide receiver tandems, in the SEC East, in the entire country, really, to be quite honest with you. So, I do think that's what kind of stood out to me. He's going to be a focal point of this offense. And, of course, Jaheim Bell getting carries out of the backfield is pretty – it was a rumor, you would start to see that just because he's a versatile, dynamic weapon there. But definitely I think I'm really excited to see what he can do throughout the course of the year in that type of role where you're never going to know when you're watching South Carolina what to expect from Jaheim Bell, where he's going to be. But you just know he's going to go out there and make a play. So, he was one of the higher graded players on the entire offense, really on the entire team. But, I think those were kind of the key takeaways from the skill position weapons. Kind of verified, what we're expecting. Jaheim Bell going to be a versatile guy, playmaker, regardless of where he's at. We saw that, and Juice Wells going to, really being a focal point of the offense. And I thought both kind of, carried out as expected. So I think there's plenty of reason to believe that, the weapons around Spencer are definitely there. It's just kind of getting the entire group at every position, all connecting together.
Yeah, Anthony, that's probably my biggest area of optimism, moving into week 2 and throughout the rest of the season, is that I really do feel like, I don't think anybody, and I'm certainly not setting an unfair expectation of being like a top 5 or top 10 offense, but like you mentioned, the skill position guys are there to be a really, really productive offense, a more productive offense the Gamecocks have had in quite some time. Especially if you can get Josh Vann didn't have a great night. Stogg didn't really get going at tight end. So you get those guys going too. And then, like you mentioned, the other guys. And there are some pieces there to play with as long as that offensive line can just give the offense a chance. Let's move to the defensive side, Anthony, because again, I thought, honestly, for the Gamecocks defense going up against a really potent Georgia State rushing attack, you knew what they wanted to do. I'll tell you this, Jamias Williams, I thought looked really good in the backfield for Georgia State, 13 carries for 76 yards. Of course, Tucker Gregg back there as well. That is the two-headed monster. And then Darren Granger, you factor in his rushing ability as well. But I think all in all, while you look at the numbers, and Georgia State did run for 200 yards, it felt like an encouraging game against the run overall. And I feel like the Gamecocks defense, especially as that ball game went on, the defensive line sort of did what we expected and took over the ball game and used their size and their skill and their athleticism, if you will, to really impose their will on Georgia State. I thought, in the second half, you saw Georgia State getting in a lot more third and longs and putting them in really tough positions. And I think that's why you saw a lot of that defensive success. Just talk what you saw from the Gamecocks defense, Anthony. Was there anybody on that side of the football that graded highly or just stood out to you in general?
Yeah, so I mentioned up top, this game didn't really go. I saw the final score that was expected, but everything else, what didn't really go as expected. I should have clarified that the offense, because I thought what the defense did, that was as expected for me. I figured, I mentioned on the show last week, I thought South Carolina gets out with a lead. It's going to be very, very hard for Georgia State to do anything about it just because of the offense that they do. Ryan, like you said, very run-centric, and if it's in the passing game, they want to get those deep play action bombs there. But with South Carolina's defensive backs, it's going to be hard to take advantage of those. And also, too, when you get down, it's going to be hard to catch the defense off guard, right? At that point, you're just it's just not going to work. You're giving them a free play for the defense to go out there and make a play on the ball. So it went as expected. Darren Granger, the passing aspect was, he's going to turn it around eventually when he gets into the conference play in the Sun Belt. But it was as bad as we saw in week 1. And that's just a testament to the coaching staff and the players, right? Just kind of carrying out, taking advantage of what they had there. So, like I said, I figured if South Carolina got a lead, it wasn't going to be, long for it. Kind of got out of hand just a little bit, just because of that offense by nature, because they can't really, throw the ball effectively when they're from behind, Georgia State, that is. But, I thought South Carolina's defense as a whole, they really hold their own. Like you said, we talked about last week, you just mentioned it, the whole size factor at the line of scrimmage. That's pretty significant. But the defensive backs, all of them played, really damn good. Cam Smith in the slot too. I was kind of interested in that. All of them, didn't really have any hiccups, very few hiccups, if at all. So I think that's kind of a reason to be encouraged. And again, it's not the opposite of the offensive line. It's not like, look at this game, like, okay, we're going to have one of the best secondaries in college football, one of the best coverage units. It's like, okay, it's one of the lower pass offenses in college football. It's just like the whole offensive line thing. It's a little bit more, just another added thing there where it's like, okay, we can be a little bit more encouraged, but let's see what happens next weekend against Arkansas and the week after against Georgia. Those are the big tests for this group. But all in all, it went as expected. Everybody played well, and specifically within that coverage unit. There were a lot of playmakers there. I think there were, I don't have the number off the top of my head, but dang near almost every single one had to play on the ball, which is what you're encouraged and love to see on a weekly basis.
Yeah, Anthony, like you mentioned, we're going to learn a lot more as this football team gets into SEC play. And certainly we're going to talk about that Arkansas game here in a second. But, my friend, we have to talk special teams. Beamer Ball, man, took over that game. Those 2 block punts, scooping scores, which, by the way, and I know people will probably hate me for bringing this up, but I just can't help but think after watching that game Monday night, I wonder if there's a statistician out there that can tell us when is the last time South Carolina and Clemson blocked 2 punts in the same weekend. You know what I mean? Like, that is the wild. I was watching, I was like, when is the last time this happened? But either way, on the Gamecock side of things, 2 block punts, 2 scoop and scores. Also, Kai Kroger has a fantastic night. He was just named the Ray Guy punter of the week. And then Mitch Jeter hits a pair of 50-plus yard field goals. I'm sure you guys do the grades on the special teams as well, but I highly doubt there's a special teams group that as a whole had a better weekend than South Carolina.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely up there with the best of the bunch, and I wish I could pull that information for you, but my computer would probably crash to try to find that information. But yeah, I mean, that was also a key part in the victory. Clearly, like you said, the scoop and scores there. Yeah, I mean, that's just another thing too. That's that whole facet as a whole. I would say. So I just talked about comparing the offensive line struggles, the coverage unit, success. I would kind of take this and say, okay, this is what you expect from this type of group, because I think special teams, more than anything, is coaching. I mean, player ability and talent and athleticism all goes into it, but coaching is very key. It's just staying disciplined. We all saw the debacle with Florida State and LSU, letting the free guy in, but that's the key thing. And it went perfectly. It was a flawless plan there by South Carolina. So it shows that's a good group that they have there at hand and ready to take on the SEC season.
Yeah, and I think definitely, Anthony, the big takeaway for me is it's just, and I talked about this in the preseason, for a football team like South Carolina that is still working some things out, it's going to be an underdog in a lot of these SEC games. If you can win that facet of the game, not saying you're going to block a punt every weekend, but if you can win that facet and be solid in that facet, maybe that's a difference maker. You know what I mean? In a couple of games, it helps you pull an upset or win a game you weren't supposed to. Looking at the game this weekend, or go ahead. Were you going to say something on the special team?
I was. I mean, I just remembered they're one of the highest graded special teams units last year in our database. In the entire FBS, South Carolina was. I remember last year, who'd they play? Oh, gosh, week 1. That was
Eastern Illinois.
Yeah, I'll never forget that one, because I was going back through after week 1 last year, and I was going through some of just like the top players, and I saw some of the South Carolina special teams guys. I was like, damn, they were really they put the hurt on them. I remember on kickoff too, that kickoff team. I mean, they were laying guys out left and right. I mean, they brought it. The energy was there. So, I mean, that's just another thing there. It's just kind of continued to establish success there.
For sure. Now, looking ahead to this weekend, Anthony, obviously, again, SEC play begins. Always exciting when that is the case. South Carolina traveling to Fayetteville, Arkansas. I'll ask you first, what did you see from Arkansas week 1? Obviously, they get the win. I know many folks came into that one thinking that Arkansas was just going to blow Cincinnati out of the water. I actually took Cincy in our runyourpool.com pool. I took Cincy plus 7.5 and happily hit that. But what did you see from Arkansas specifically? Obviously, a high-quality win at home, top 25 win. Maybe some holes in the secondary for them. I know pass defense maybe was an issue, and now they might have to be combating a couple injuries in the back half of their defense. But all in all, I would say probably a very successful outing for Arkansas. Great win for them. But what did you see specifically from the Hogs? Was there anything out of the ordinary, or was it sort of what you expected from them?
I think the biggest thing that stood out to me is just the defense as a whole. And like you said, I mean, it wasn't a perfect day for them. Had some missed tackles in there as well. It wasn't a good day in that facet. But, overall, I think Barry Odom, the defensive coordinator for Arkansas, he's probably one of the most underappreciated coordinators in college football, in my opinion. He was a former head coach, and I don't think for too long he's going to get another opportunity. He's a guy that, early on in his days at Arkansas, he liked that it was a pretty defense that didn't change, right? They just did that rush 3, drop 8 coverage. But now, you talked about it last year before the season, they want to be multiple, right? They want to mix some things up. They don't want to be predictable. And they want to mix it up. And last week, I mean, it's kind of continuing on that, because they didn't play that drop 8 coverage, right? I mean, they had some, very heavy overload blitzes in there as well, getting the linebackers involved. And so I think that's just something to kind of take note of against South Carolina. It's going to be interesting to see the way they play South Carolina, whether or not they want to bring the heat. As Spencer, if I had to guess, that might be the way they might want to play, but I don't know. You play that drop 8 coverage, you can kind of make those windows smaller, and with a quarterback that sometimes will want to play hero ball, you can kind of force them into bad mistakes there. So it's going to be interesting to see. I think that's probably, while maybe the personnel that they do have is a little bit less than what it was last year, I think the coaching aspect and just the scheme in general can present some issues possibly for South Carolina. So that was kind of the biggest thing I noticed against Cincinnati is that, that entire, I would say discussion. But, I think from an offensive perspective, it's going to be interesting. We just talked about like the whole size discrepancy against Georgia State and South Carolina. Now there's a little bit more of a discrepancy with Arkansas against South Carolina. Arkansas just has absolute units back there. I mean, as Sam Pittman's talked about all the time, he likes big guys. He likes big quarterbacks. He likes big running backs. He likes big receivers. He likes big offensive line. He wants to overpower you. And, you look at, Rocket Sanders, you have KJ Jefferson back there. I mean, he's got some massive guys back there. And that offensive line, I think, is one of the best in college football. So it's going to be a tough test on both sides of the ball. The big takeaway from the last game, you got him at 7.5. I got Arkansas at 6.5. So I was pretty happy about that. So it's a good middle ground for us.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the defense is kind of the big storyline that I'm watching against South Carolina's offense. And especially too with that offense, the whole offensive line wrinkle. Maybe they'll bring, I would say maybe a defense like they did last game where it's, a little bit more blitz heavy. Sending not just, 5 guys, but 6, sometimes 7 guys. So I think that's kind of where my head's at when looking at this game and kind of what's going to be the deciding factor overall.
Yeah, I mean, I think most certainly, Anthony, that's where you look is line of scrimmage. Folks maybe get tired of hearing about it, but that's what a game like this really comes down to. And especially after week 1, the way your offensive line played. And I talked about this in the preseason way back in July when I locked in my predictions for the season that, I hated the matchup. I'll be totally honest with you. I hated the matchup for South Carolina because of what Arkansas's strengths are and what your weaknesses are. You know what I mean? It just doesn't add up well. They had 4 or 5 guys or have 4 or 5 guys back on the offensive line. Like you mentioned, big physical quarterback and KJ Jefferson. It will be a challenge on both lines of scrimmage for South Carolina. And I'm very curious to see how they will attack it. Before I get you out of here, Anthony, I will ask, again, of course, the numbers, the grades, the analytics, also gambling plays a part, right? So Arkansas opened as I think it was like an 11.5 point favorite. That number dropped all the way to 7.5. Now it's at 8.5. I'll just ask you, I know you just kind of dove into it, but what do the numbers tell you about this game? Do you feel like that's an appropriate line for the ball game? Also over under set at 53. I've gone on record. I like the under in this game. I just feel like I understand that the matchup is there. What Arkansas did in week 1, you can use the passing game and maybe that's how you attack them. But I still think the running game is going to be at a premium. I think that's what Arkansas is going to want to do. How do you look at this game, not just from, predicting a win and loss, but also from the gambling side, the numbers side, the analytics side, if you will?
Yeah, this is interesting. I really do think it's low-key one of the best games of the week. BYU Baylor's up there, of course, Florida, Kentucky, Tennessee Pitt, but I would throw South Carolina, Arkansas in that conversation. Actually, looking at PFF Greenline, which you can find over at PFF.com, we show whatever value we have on, money line, the total, or the spread on every single FBS game. And maybe one day we'll get to the FCS, but that's kind of proprietary right now. But, this game, I was kind of surprised. I was going through when they dropped and I was like, man, I'll give you a free pick here. But we show value on South Carolina, both the spread and the money line. I was like, this is very interesting. I didn't think it would be the case. So, I think I would probably sign with PFF Greenline. I mean, heck, if you've been betting with it since the start of the year, you'd be up considerably. I think it's 32 and 18 or 19. So, I mean, it's not too bad. And I think just looking at it, I think, I'll probably side there with you. I think it might be a little bit, low scoring. I think it's just a very interesting matchup in terms of, strength versus weakness. And I think, on paper to just the general person, you probably look at it and be like, okay, Arkansas should probably win this game, handedly. But again, I go back to who's the best player in this game overall, regardless of position. I think South Carolina still got him with Spencer Rattler. And a lot of people would argue against that, like, oh, it's KJ and whomever. But I really do think that last week, Spencer Rattler is not who he is as a quarterback. And I think that's probably the worst you'll see him all season long. And I still think that there's so much more better play to come for him. So that's where my head's at. And I think if you look at a team, when you have the better quarterback and they're 8.5 point dogs, and I don't have the money line in front of me, but you see that value, that number there. I think you just gotta have to kind of take a risk there on the dog, just because they have the better quarterback, they have the better players. No guarantee, but I'd be a little bit more comfortable on that side. But I think it's going to be an interesting game, and honestly, I'm not going to be surprised at any outcome. Arkansas covers that number, wins by double digits, I'd be like, okay, I'm not too surprised. But if South Carolina pulls out a W there, I'm not going to be too surprised either. I think it's just, like I said, one of the more fascinating games of the weekend.
If you have a quarterback, you have a chance, Anthony, and certainly that will be the case for South Carolina on a week-in, week-out basis with Spencer Rattler. And like you said, it's going to be interesting. Week 1 to week 2, we hear coaches say the most improvements made. A lot of question marks yet again will be answered with these two teams and just kind of who they are and maybe what their 2022 seasons are going to look like. Anthony Treash of Pro Football Focus. Anthony, always appreciate you taking the time each and every single Wednesday, and looking forward to doing it again next week. Appreciate you, my man. Thanks so much.
Yep, likewise, brother. See ya.
Yeah, man. Take care. Great stuff, Anthony Treash. Always a pleasure to chat with him, guys. We're going to open up the phone lines. If you have any questions about what Anthony said, any comments, what have you, but the phone lines are now open, 843-790-3377. Let me jump to this text really quickly. We had somebody text us in this morning. When you rewatch the game, pay attention to Stogner and Birch. He says, number one, Stogner was a liability blocking with his hand in the dirt and downfield. In the first half, he had 9 missed or unfinished blocks. Most of them directly gave up a tackle or quarterback hurry. When the pocket was clean, Stogner was usually off the field. He says he was way better in the second half with only 1 bad block. Number 2, Jordan Birch was a non-factor most of the day. Had a few good plays, but he looked slow and easy to block most plays. Looks like a conditioning issue. He will be better as a backup the next 2 weeks with Edmond starting instead. He also says number 3, linebackers are studs. Brad Johnson and Mo Cabo were outstanding. So, interesting text from, I'm not exactly sure who sent that in, but good stuff. And I think you make some good points. Oh, Austin Griesman. That's Griesman. Okay. Griesman, thank you for the text, my friend. Guys, again, 843-790-3377. Mayor says, score prediction. I will drop my score prediction, our lead pipe lock of the week, brought to you by our friends over at A1 Air Quality Consultants on Friday. I will drop it on Friday on the Friday podcast. Of course, guys, graphic will drop. You already know the drill at this point. Anyways, guys, I do want to hear from you, our Big Cock Club folks. Austin Ward says, if the O-line continues to play poor, do we see some young bucks get a shot? I mean, what are you going to do, man? Throw some freshmen in there when you got all these seasoned veterans? I mean, listen, play the best guys you got. You know what I mean? If those freshmen, if you feel like they can contribute and help you out, make a difference, I'm all about it. But it's hard to believe that a true freshman or a young guy like that would be ready versus a guy who's been playing 4 or 5 years. But yeah. Go ahead and jump to the phone lines here. Jerry, what's up, man? How are you?
Doing good, buddy.
What's going on?
But nothing much. But who surprised you this weekend? Like defense, offense, special teams.
Who surprised me this weekend?
Yeah.
Well, the offensive line surprised me with how bad they played. That was one thing. Was surprised Josh Vann wasn't a little bit more of a factor. I mean, I had him under 4 receptions, but 1 catch for 9 yards wasn't exactly what I saw him doing. I was, when you say surprised, I guess what was unexpected? I thought Debo Williams played really, really well. I'll be honest with you. He was a guy I was a little bit skeptical about. I thought he played well, was flying around. I was surprised we blocked 2 punts and got 2 scoop and scores. There were a couple of things that stood out, but it really just comes back to I was surprised at the line of scrimmage on the offensive line. I just was. That surprised me.
What do you think about that freshman linebacker?
Stone Blanton? Is that what you're talking about?
No, there's another one that's a true freshman or something.
Are you talking Nick Emanwari?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Nick Emanwari. Now I think he's going to be a really good player, man. I'm really high on him. Really, really high on him. Thought he had a great game. We all saw the 4th down stop, obviously, but think he's got a bright future. Listen, it's just one game, but he looked good. He looked good in his first ever collegiate game, man. So now I'm high on him and think he should definitely continue to see a lot of action for sure.
You think we got a chance against Arkansas?
I mean, I most certainly think we have a chance. Like I said, I'll lock in my prediction on Friday, but I feel like there's no point in me holding back on. I mean, listen, I picked Arkansas to win this game in the preseason. Was there anything that I saw from week 1 that would make me change my pick? Probably not. Probably not. If anything, it makes me even more concerned that, on the line of scrimmage, are we going to be able to hold our own? But do I think we have a chance? Because listen, I will say this. For all the commentary there's been this week, I do want to go on record and say, I do think we're going to improve from week 1 to week 2. I do believe that, right? I think we will. So I don't think the offensive line will be as bad as it was in week 1. And it better not, because if it is, we ain't even got a shot. But so, yes, I still view this game as a toss-up. I think there's a reason the line came down so significantly in this football game. So, I do still view this as a toss-up. We got to be a lot better on the line of scrimmage. Spencer Rattler's got to be better. We got to be better top to bottom. We got to stop the run. We got to account for KJ Jefferson. But, yeah, certainly I think we have a chance in this football game. I think it's going to be a good game. I really do.
I think that, how they said they was hiding a bunch of stuff from Georgia and Arkansas?
Let me ask you a question. Who said that? Who said that? Did Beamer and Satterfield say that, or did fans on social media say that?
I think I saw something on. I think it was Beamer. I think.
Okay. Well, let me. I'm not trying to grill you. Because I hear that all the time, dude. I hate that. That's one of my least favorite things. I hate that. I hate that. Because you know what? If that is the case, hey, let me just put this out there. If that is the case, I don't give a damn if you want to run 5% of the playbook or 95% of it. I don't really care. But when you go out and look the way you did on offense, that 5% of the playbook you used was ass. You should have used a different 5% then, because it didn't work very well. I feel like, and I'm not coming at you, I'm saying this in general, this is fans of every school. I feel like that is the ace in the hole for people when your school, when your team doesn't look good offensively against an inferior opponent. It is a habit for fans to go, well, we weren't showing the whole playbook. We were holding back. You know what I'm saying? Like it's an excuse is what it is. And I don't care if that is the case. I don't care if that's the case. Like if you want to use, like I mentioned, 5% of the playbook, 10%, you don't want to, you quote unquote, don't want to show Arkansas and Georgia anything, then be my guest, but at least use the part of the playbook that's going to be productive. Like I just can't wrap my head around, like, it's not a positive to look like dog shit on offense and go into Arkansas with no confidence. You know what I mean? Like that to me that just doesn't make sense. I just maybe that's me showing that I'm just not a football guy to that level. Like I don't understand that. To me, I look at it from the baseball perspective. You always put your best foot forward. You don't save your ace. You have best available, right? There's no tomorrow. You play that way. I'm not saying throw the kitchen sink at Georgia State, but what I'm saying is put your best foot forward to look your best. I mean, college football is it's how you win. Style matters. Style points matter. Maybe if we were competing for a national title and to get in the playoff, we would care more about that. But it does matter in college ball. Again, this is not baseball where if you win by a run, all is good, right? Like you when you're playing a team like a Georgia State or you're playing a South Carolina State or Charlotte in a few weeks, like, is it going to be good enough to go win 21-14 and just say, well, we were just holding back on the playbook? Hell no. Ain't nobody going to be saying that. So I don't give a damn if you want to hold back on the playbook. I don't care. Use the part of the playbook that is productive. That's all I'm asking. You know what I mean? Like, I hate that, man. It just gets old. I'm not saying that to you directly. It just gets old, man. Like, well, we weren't showing anything. Well, the shit we showed wasn't worth a damn. How about that? It wasn't worth it. It didn't work. So I don't know. That's my rant today. I don't know.
I understand that, but going on another note, I noticed Beamer ball was huge in that game.
It was. No, it was indeed. Yeah, it was indeed. And great night for the brand, great night for the business, great night for Beamer Ball. Yeah, really, really cool stuff, man. It was a game changer in that ball game for sure.
It'd be kind of cool if South Carolina bought your towels.
If South Carolina bought my towels, it would be cool. It would be cool. It'd be a very fruitful endeavor also. So I'm open to all kind of conversation. USC, they know how to contact me.
And to change it on another note, what do you think about the playoff expanding?
The playoff expanding, I'm for it. I'm for it. Listen, a playoff happens, or a playoff works, I should say, in every other sport at every other level. Why can't it work in college football? And I'll tell you this, because, hey, now you've got me on a whole different tangent. I just don't understand the people that say it like it ruins the regular season. Well, if we get to the last weekend and Auburn and Alabama or Ohio State and Michigan are both in the playoff and the game is only for seeding, then the game's just not going to matter. On what planet would that be true? You're telling me, you're really trying to tell me that Carolina Clemson, 11-0 versus 11-0, we're both in the playoff. It's guaranteed, basically. You're telling me Carolina Clemson wouldn't matter? Come on, dude. If it matters when we're 0-11, right? Did it not matter in 1999 when Carolina was 0-10, right? If it matters then, it's going to matter when you're undefeated. There is no amount of expansion that can ruin rivalry weekend, in my opinion. Now, does it change the regular season in the sense, well, because right now what college football is if you lose one game, you're done. That sucks, man. It makes college football more interesting for longer, in my opinion. Now, listen, I know there's folks out there like Josh Pate, and I like Josh, but everybody treats Josh's word like he's the god of college football and everything he says is gold. I respect everything Josh says because I think he does a fantastic job, but I don't agree that expanding a playoff is going to ruin the regular season. It works for every other sport. And I don't think, like in baseball, for example, there's just so many games, right? It's hard to be invested in July and August unless you're like a true diehard. There's still only 12 games, regular season games in college football. Fan bases are still going to be invested week after week after week. You know what I mean? Like, I don't need there to be, you're just one loss and done for me to care about the games on a week in, week out basis. I love college football either way. If you're able to, I love college football as it is, man. There's nothing that gets me going like watching 4-4 Iowa take on, 3-5 Indiana. Like, if you love college football to that level, expanding the playoff ain't gonna make you stop loving college football. It's not. So, and I understand we're probably still going to end up with the same two teams. But if that's the case, why not add more meaningful playoff football? Why not? And then people say, well, what does it mean for bowl season? If you got to shave off a couple bowl games, is it that big of a deal? I mean, is it really that big of a deal? There's like 70 bowl games at this point. Everybody's going to a bowl game. If we got to shave off 10 bowl games, is it really going to hurt the sport? Is it really going to hurt the future of the sport? So I'm all for it. I've never understood the people that argue that, like, oh my God, you're ruining college football if you expand the playoff. The regular season's meaningless. To who? To who is it meaningless to? That's my question. Who's it meaningless to? To the national guy that likes, this one loss and you're out type format. Like, I don't like that. I hate that. I hate the thought of you lose one game. Well, all hopes and dreams of winning a national title, they're over. I don't like that. So, and again, I'm not saying it's going to change. Listen, Alabama is going to be Alabama. Georgia is going to be Georgia. It's going to happen. But in the meantime, why not just have more football? That's the way I see it.
But you was talking about Josh Pate. I I watched his video last night, and he's got the game this weekend with us in Arkansas over. He said it'll go probably 63 points, I believe.
Yeah, I heard his play was over the 53. I got the under. I just I think the run game is going to be the point of emphasis. I don't think we're going to have some sort of offensive explosion. Hey, he might be right. I'm locked in on the under. So we'll see who's right.
But for me, I like your show better than his, to be honest.
Well, listen, it's not a competition. I love Josh Pate's show. I think Josh Pate does a fantastic job, and the numbers reflect that. I was just saying that I know that when there's college football playoff expansion talk, I feel like Josh is the loudest voice in regards to that. So that's why I reference him. Josh does a great job. And the beauty is that he and I could have a conversation about this, respectfully disagree, and just keep it moving, right? But no, listen, that wasn't meant as a slight at Josh Pate. He does a great job. I think folks should also tune into Josh Pate show and also tune into the Spurs Up show. You're going to get value out of both in different ways, I think, and in some ways in similar ways. So no, listen, I love what Josh does, but again, I refer to him because I know a lot of folks go to him for their takes in the playoff. Jerry Ritter, I appreciate the call, my friend. We got the phone lines ringing off the hook. We just missed a call. If you want to call back in, I'll wait to go to a break if you want to call back in. If not, we're going to jump into a quick break. I'll wait about a minute or so to see if they call back in. Somebody from Monk's Corner calling in. Courtney Washington. Now, listen, I see you're bringing up Gunnar Stockton. I saw what you said. Does it really bother? I mean, dude, all he did was repost a T-shirt. Stockton didn't say it was chicken hunting season. Sure, the T-shirt they made said. I mean, I didn't. Of course he hates us. We hate them too. What's going on, man? How are you?
What's up, man? I gotta say, finally, there's negative feelings of rolling over. I listened to a couple of podcasts, including yours, JC's, and I kind of, realized that, maybe the O-line, with the first game being the first game, first new QB and all that. But I gotta say, man, with that first game, I was really expecting at least an identity from that offense. I feel like it was lacking in identity.
Yeah, I'd agree. Hey, listen, it's a tale as old as time. I go into week 2 and I don't really know what we're good at, what we're deficient at. Well, I know what we're deficient at, but I don't really know what we even want to do. You know what I mean? And I think that changes on a week in, week out basis, depending on the opponent. But yeah, I mean, and listen, all these new pieces, it might take you some time, couple games to find the identity. But unfortunately, you just don't really have a lot of time to find it. You know what I mean? You got to find a way to be productive in the meantime. So listen, I said what I said on Monday, the Monday podcast. I mentioned I don't think I've ranted as much. I don't think I've vented as much after a win as I did on that Monday podcast. But I mean, now you got to keep it moving. You got to go into Arkansas. And I mean, what's our other choice? You know what I mean? Beat it into a pulp that the offensive line stinks. I mean, I said what I said. It has to improve. It has to get better. If it doesn't, you will get run off the field in Fayetteville. There's just no other way to put it. So the hope is this team's going to improve from week 1 to week 2. They're going to make a massive jump. But certainly, man, if we look back at Georgia State, I mean, there's just no question that was – to say that the offense fell short of expectations is putting it lightly. Is putting it very lightly. So.
Oh yeah, man. I gotta say that watching that game, I love being involved. Don't get me wrong. I think it sweeps me off my feet and it amazes me when I see it in play. But when you look at the statistics and the fact that we scored 19 points on the special teams and against a mid-level, lower tier FBS team, we only scored 12, 13 points.
Yeah.
What was it?
Two touchdowns. So two offensive touchdowns.
I mean, I had Rattler coming out, with a clean pocket, man, 300 yards, 2 tutties, and an interception maybe. Since that second read was a little bit, I had to give it to him on the second one. The second one was a little bit, he just threw it right in there and the safety got him on that. But I got a question for you. looking to Arkansas and Georgia, I do think we can chalk up Arkansas as a W because of their secondary, and they're going to blitz most likely because of our O-line, and we're just going to get it out to Juice Wells, Van, or Brooks. If we lose to Arkansas and Georgia, beat obviously Charlotte and South Carolina State, if we lose to Kentucky, do you feel like the momentum in the season is going to drop off?
Well, we talked a lot about that this preseason, right? About how important it was to start 4-2 because it's, again, you bring up a great point. I'm glad you do. I mean, I talked about this a lot, but if you start 3-3, 0-3 in SEC play, and you go into the bye week, here's what's tough about it. I mean, you obviously see you're an underdog against Arkansas. You're undoubtedly going to be an underdog against Georgia. And you're going to be an underdog at Kentucky. You're going to be an underdog at Kentucky. So those 3 games on an individual basis, nobody's going to say, oh, my, that was just a terrible loss for South Carolina. They laid an egg. They dropped the ball, But after all of the pieces you add, and it's so funny, by the way, because I was going to say after all the hype you had, and folks get upset on social media, well, who created the hype? You're the one that created the hype. This team didn't ask to be hyped. Bro, when you add the type of guys that you added, the hype just comes, man. When you add the most talented, the best quarterback you've ever had step foot on campus, that's not me saying that. That's the numbers. That's the 24/7. That's the stars. Everybody swears by the stars. That's what the stars say, right? So when you add those type of guys, there's a certain level of hype that comes with it. And if you don't like the hype, I don't know what to tell you, man. Go watch badminton or something. This is football, right? It comes with it. So yeah, if you start 3-3, 0-3 in SEC play, you get to the bye week and you don't have a quality win on the season halfway through the year, that's going to be tough. I mean, just no other way to put it. That's going to be tough. It's going to be a tough pill to swallow, man. And I think this fan base is going to be on edge. I'm going to be on edge because you add the guys you've added. Spencer Rattler, most notably, you need to start better than 3. And then you got Texas A&M looming the following week. I mean, you could be starting 3-4, 0-4 in SEC play. And I know my good buddy Brad Crawford, some have picked that to happen. And then they've got the Gamecocks reeling off 4 straight SEC wins down the stretch, finishing 7-5, which would be a great finish. My biggest problem with that is this. If this team is sitting there 3-4, 0-4 in SEC play, where are they at mentally? I know Coach Beamer does a great job keeping them together, but man, does finger pointing begin? Do guys start doubting, what their coaches are telling them, doubting their abilities? So I would agree with you. I think I said this in the preseason, to get to 7 wins or more, I think you have to split Arkansas or Kentucky. I think you need to start 4-2. You need some positivity early in the season. You need sort of that breakthrough win, quote unquote, for year 2. Obviously, we know if you beat Arkansas this weekend, it would be massive. I mean, for obvious reasons, it would just be massive. But if not, and hey, I picked it. I picked you to start 1-2. But I also picked a win at Kentucky, right? I think, I mentioned the preseason. The biggest inflection point of the season, where it's like your season at that point is going to go one of 2 directions, right? It's either going to be an above average year, or it's going to be you're fighting to get to 6 wins. You know what I mean? So, and that's kind of the game. If you don't beat Arkansas, that will tell you. So,
Well, one more question for you.
Yeah.
So if the O-line keeps playing, as inconsistent as, just like last year, do you think a loss to Vandy's in the books with how they're playing?
I don't think so. Listen, I think it's been a fun story to see Vanderbilt do what they've done the first 2 weeks, but it was against a hapless Hawaii team and Elon. So, hey, listen, if Vandy goes out there and beats Wake Forest this weekend, maybe I'll start thinking of them differently. But no, I wouldn't go that far. I'd like I said in the preseason, I'll stick by it. I will be shocked, floored if this team misses a bowl game with Spencer Rattler under center. I'd be just completely shocked.
Well, he'll be back next year, that's for sure, if we miss the bowl game.
Yeah, there's a chance. Again, it's so it sounds like you're picking the win over Arkansas, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, man,
Okay.
we're looking at the secondaries. I see that they're down right now, and obviously, Sam Pittman's probably keeping his cards in his pocket right now, and he doesn't want to reveal whether they're going to be playing or not. Maybe hoping Shane's going to scheme for 2 different secondaries. Very unlikely. I don't even know how that would happen, but with those secondaries gone, if they're gone, I mean, I would imagine what Arkansas is going to do is everyone's going to blitz down the middle. They're going to try and knock Spencer Rattler, and I would imagine Juice Wells. You got Josh Van, Jalen Brooks, Jaheim Bell, and you could run swing passes with Marshawn Lloyd. What we would do is we would literally just get them out of the edge and then get it open, just like we would at first North Carolina.
Somebody clip
And
this
we
and
would
send
just
it to
play down the
Satterfield.
field.
Somebody clip this and send it to Satterfield. Let him know.
I mean, you got wheel routes, you got posts and all that, and you got incredibly really fast guys, Dante Turbo as well. And I mean, wheel routes, swing routes, RPOs, and all that are very underutilized. And I mean, I like that Satterfield's trying to go with the swing plays. I didn't get to watch the game. It was my wife's birthday every year on the 3rd of September, so I missed the first game every year. But when I was watching the highlights, that seems to be what Satterfield's trying to cook up. But man, I mean, I got Rattler beating out that secondary, especially with the fact that a less than desirable Cincinnati quarterback after Desmond Riddler left had a lot of open opportunities.
Right. Yeah, it should be a lot of fun.
That game,
yeah. No, I was just gonna say, man, it should be a lot of fun. I mean, again, it's crazy. It's such a week-to-week game, and if you can go out there and beat Arkansas, conversation's completely different next week. Our conversations are completely different. So,
we play competitive. According to, I mean, from what we've heard, is that supposedly, as every week, they had the best week of practice yesterday, or day of practice ever. So hopefully, all the input and everything's finally starting to click. We'll pray, man. But I thank you for having me on, man. Thank you for everything you do, as always. And I'll talk to you later.
Chase, I appreciate it, man. Thanks so much for the call. Great stuff. Great insight. Guys, we are going to jump into our first break, but I want to continue to hear from you. More of your questions, comments, calls, and more on the other side. You're tuned in to the Daily Crow. All right, guys, we're back. Taking your questions, comments, calls. 843-790-3377. We're going to remind you of a couple things. Of course, first thing, this weekend, we are at Carolina Ale House in downtown Greenville for our watch party for the Gamecocks game against Arkansas. I will be getting there. Doors open at 11. I'll get there about 11. We will have koozies and towels on sale. Of course, kickoffs at noon. Also, guys, just got these in last night. If you love beat stickers, you will love these. Just got these in. You see, they say Beamer Ball, the Spurs Up Show. Going to be giving these away for free. Got 600 of them. When they're gone, they're gone. Of course, I'll have them Saturday at Carolina Ale House. The following weekend, I'll have them for the Georgia game. So, again, really excited to hand these out. You can add it to your little beat sticker collection and wear it on game day or do whatever you want to with it. But these are completely free. So, I will have these, like I said, on hand. I ordered them. I tried to size it right. They're a little bigger than your typical beat sticker, but still really dope. Still really dope. You can see there. So, anyways, come on out. Carolina Ale House, downtown Greenville. Really, really cool venue. I know you Greenville folks, you always show up and show out, and we have a great time out there at Carolina Ale House. So, again, I cannot wait to see you guys. Should be a lot of fun. Hopefully, we're celebrating a big victory in downtown Greenville on Saturday afternoon. Also, of course, guys, episode 699. Episode 699 of the podcast dropped this morning, talking Shane Beamer's Tuesday presser, best bet for Carolina, Arkansas, as well as SEC gambling picks week 2, and a great conversation with Chris Doring of SEC Network. Lynn Turner says, if I order online, can I get stickers in my package? Lynn, shoot me a DM. I want to say yes. I'll be honest with you. These stickers, though, I got for like in person, handing out to people. But if you shoot me a DM, we can make something work out. But I don't want people to think that I'm throwing these in every single package, because I'm not. Like I said, I really want to be able to have these on game day. That's the biggest thing. Just shoot me a DM, Lynn. We can figure something out. Joey Guyton says, Chris, would you say the O-line play was almost slapdickerish? There were some slapdickery going on Saturday night. There was some slapdickery going on up front, no doubt. No doubt. Gad 864. Yeah. Roll call. Who's coming to the watch party? Roll call. Why not? Let's see it. Want to see you guys out there. I'm seeing Coach Ford in the comments. Coach Ford, appreciate you tuning in. Jeff Gullidge, if we're 0-3 in the SEC, Robbie Davis will be at Sat's house helping him pack his bags. Indeed, he will. I wonder where Robbie Davis is on this fine Wednesday. TDC questions, channels popping off. Our guy, Brendan M., he wants Brendan and Dalton, they want the return of the BCS. So, I got no problem with I'm just saying I got no problem with an expanded playoff. Like, if they wanted to go to the BCS, it would make sense. I mean, listen, the same two were going to play there no matter what. I think what you're seeing, the people that are so opposed to the playoff, like I understand anytime there's change and there's significant change, folks are going to get upset. But if you take away, like, these are the college football purists. These are the old heads of college football that are hanging on to the old way of doing things. Hell, let's just go back to the days in the 50s or whatever it was and have the AP poll just determine who number 1 is and who the national champion is. We'll just do that. Like, I have no issues with the playoff, and I don't understand why anyone would, to be honest with you. So, yeah, I don't understand why anyone would. So, let's see. Travis Lee, I'm not even going to give it no mind, but that dude's just a slap dick, bro. It just is what it is. I mean, there's a reason I don't respond, my friend. That's all I'll say on that. Let's see. Austin Greer, problem is we have on the O-lines, our tackles were recruited as guards and aren't athletic enough for the position they are playing. Well, that most certainly could be it, my guy. That's a good point that you make. That is a very good point that you make, no doubt. Yeah, but a great point brought up by Chase in regards to you know, and we talked about it again all preseason about starting this year off, 3-3, 0-3 in SEC play, and just what that would mean for the Gamecocks moving forward. Yeah, wouldn't be good. Would not be good.
Call from
Robbie Davis,
Here we go.
aka Curb Street.
Robbie Davis, what's going on, man? How are you?
I am doing fantastic. How's your Wednesday going so far?
I am doing well, man. It's going great. Appreciate you asking. What's going on?
The main thing that I want to see this weekend, okay? All right. Obviously, there was some positive consistency on the defensive side of the ball and absolute fantastic positive things happening with Beamer ball, right? But I think it goes without saying, obviously, but the main thing that most of us want to see is positive consistency this weekend with the offense. Move the ball and hang on to it. Because in my opinion, even though we punted twice yesterday, Saturday, or however many times we punted, that's several too many. Okay, several too many.
Yeah, I mean, listen, improvement on the offensive side, most certainly is what we all want to see. I mean, that just,
Right.
goes without saying for sure, specifically on the offensive front.
Right. And if we have to, dadgummit, find people that want to block if you got to, okay? Find somebody. I don't care if they're a freshman. I don't care. Find people that want to play and block and dadgum help this team win, okay? I mean, yes, I know that everybody wants to help the team win, right? But find people that want to play and want to help us get better at the offense on the offensive side of the ball. Because I'm telling you, if we play like that the next 2 weeks, we are going to be 2-1 before we even blink our eyes.
Robbie, a little bit of a change of subject. I did have a point brought up to me over the weekend, and I wanted to bring it up to you.
Is this good or bad, or am I going to be mad or what?
Robbie, just hang in there, my guy. Just hang in there. Gamecock Nation isn't a huge fan of Kirk Herbstreit, yet you refer to yourself as Kirk Herbstreit. Do you think it's time to possibly update the tagline that you open each call with? I got no problem with Kirk Herbstreit, by the way.
Now that you put it that way.
I've got no problem with Kirk Herbstreit, but a lot of Gamecock fans don't like him very much.
Well, you can blame P-Doc for that.
When in doubt, just blame P-Mod. Blame P-Doc. Love that.
But I will give it some serious thought to changing it. But
I think Zaxby's Hall of Famer is solid. I really do.
Okay, there you go. Problem solved. There you go. Problem solved.
Yeah.
Because that is a fact. That is true. I have the plaque to prove it, and there's one hanging in the restaurant. So there you go.
I like that.
But also, this is completely random, but shout out to Lance Players' wife. It's her birthday today, so happy birthday to her.
Happy birthday to Miss Cocky Neck Gator.
But,
happy birthday to Miss Latte.
And definitely we had way too many easy passes that were dropped. Okay, because like you said, yesterday, there was a pass and it hit Josh Van right in the chest. He should have caught that. There was a lot of easy, especially also the two screenplays that were absolutely atrocious. Okay, I mean, I could have made that pass for God's sake, and I can't even throw the ball that far, but I could have at least made those passes.
Robbie, I think you could have
On
made
those.
those passes. I would have loved to seen you do it, actually.
But yeah, just the only whenever you hit rock bottom, dang it, the only way to go is up. Okay.
Robbie, per sources, you were playing chess at the tailgate. Would you like to confirm or deny?
I'm gonna dadgum bite the bullet on this one. Yes, I was.
Okay.
Honestly,
I think I told John Rice that, and he literally was in so much shock. He was stunned. He couldn't even say anything.
Look, okay, it was my dad's idea. Honestly, I wanted to like turn on the car.
Listen, I just told him that, John, I mean, listen, while you're playing checkers, Robbie Davis is playing chess.
That's a fact. Checkers is the stepchild to chess. Okay. Now I'm not that good. Okay, my dad beat me. Okay, the number of chess games that I've actually won, I can literally count on one hand. Okay, and it was just all pure luck. Okay, but anywho, if it was up to me, I would have had the car on and listening to music. But my dad didn't want to kill the battery, so
makes sense.
And I probably would have had to push the car.
No bueno.
No bueno. That's
no bueno.
No bueno, exactly. And to the whole like percentage of playbook thing, okay? Screw that. You're paid to win. Use the whole damn playbook. I don't care.
The whole damn thing. Every play you got.
I don't care. Use all of them.
The kitchen sink.
Of them, use all 100 of them. You got 200 of them. Use all 200 of them. I don't care. The whole point of an offensive coordinator is to score points. And that's honestly pretty sad that our special teams scored more points than our offense Saturday night. It was sad. I was happy, but I was also sad at the same time. So it's definitely safe to say that special teams saved that game for us. Because once we blocked those 2 punts and scored 14 points off of those, I was like, it's over. Like the guy that texted in Monday and said that he was sitting next to me, I told him as soon as those 2 block punts happened, I was like, it's over. Stick a fork in it. Georgia State's done. They can't pass the ball. All they can do is run. It's over.
Yeah.
But we have to, and we definitely got to clean up some of the penalties, man. Penalties is obviously if we have week one, you have penalties on a lot of penalties in week one. We got to clean up the penalties because the team that plays the cleanest, as far as penalties go, wins the football game.
It sure does help. Sure does help.
But I will definitely get out whenever we play Arkansas this weekend. I will watch it, and then that Monday I'll give you my analysis.
And tomorrow you're giving your prediction, right?
Yep. Tomorrow I'll give you my prediction for Saturday. I will, and I honestly, just so you know, I still think we're better than Arkansas, so I still think we're going to beat Arkansas, but I'll give you my score prediction as promised on Thursday. That I can guarantee you.
Okay. I look forward to that.
So
I truly look forward to that.
Well, thank you. All right, buddy. I'm going to get off of here and eat my lunch before it gets cold.
I hear you. Hey, Robbie, I appreciate you, my guy. Thanks so much for calling in. Always a pleasure.
Thank you, man. You have a good one.
Yeah, man, for sure. Take care. Great stuff from Robbie Davis, 843-790-3377. Robbie says, just throw the damn whole playbook at their ass. Thomas Walker says, I don't know how much weight to give it, but it seems like coaches blame time in the offensive scheme, the success or lack thereof for a quarterback. How much do you think the fact that he's only been in the offense for 8 months plays into it? You know, Thomas, I think there's something there to say for that. But damn, how does it take 8 months to learn an offense? Is it that hard? Is it that difficult? I don't know. I think if your scheme is that difficult to learn, your scheme's too complex. Would you not agree? You go through an entire spring, an entire summer, an entire fall camp. Like, you're telling me the QB can't get the offense now? Are you telling me you can't scale back the offense to a point where, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I'll call it for what it is. I think coaches use a lot of excuses when the offense is not clicking. I think there's a lot of excuses that are used. So, yes, Paul Biggers, the Gamecocks have a fan base and a show devoted to them. Indeed, that is correct. Let's see. Again, guys, if you miss any of this conversation, if you miss any of this show and you want to go back and listen to it, you can do so. The Daily Crow on iTunes, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. Be sure to subscribe and rate the show as well if you don't mind, guys. Also, there's so many of you that tune in to here that don't realize the Spurs Up Show, of course, the podcast, the Spurs Up Show drops Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Go subscribe to that. Go rate the show. Again, great conversation today with Chris Doring of SEC Network. He was on the call for the game on Saturday night against Georgia State. So really good insight from him. We also look ahead to this weekend's game against Arkansas. I thought really great stuff, by the way, from Anthony Treash. Appreciate him taking the time. It's always a pleasure to chat with him. P-Dawk making me laugh here on the old Twitter sphere. So let's see. Also, guys, really quick, we will be talking tonight. I'll be jumping on an Arkansas podcast, Arkansas show, if you will, the Hog Talk podcast, and they are part of the Believe Podcast Network and of 103.7 The Buzz Radio Network. So, jumping on their show tonight, 7:40. We'll hop on, talk some Gamecocks and Hogs, and break down the game. And yeah, should be a really, really fun time tonight. Looking forward to that. Looking forward to talking some of the game. Paul Biggers may have missed this conversation. WL for Arkansas, honest opinion. Paul, I will lock in my prediction on Friday's podcast, Friday's show. But with that being said, I'll say I picked Arkansas to win this game in the preseason, and I'm not sure anything really changed after week one. But I will let you guys know my official score prediction, everything for the game on Friday. Guys, we're rocking and rolling here on this Wednesday. Want to continue to hear from you. More of your questions, comments, calls, and more on the other side. You're tuned in to the Daily Crow. All right, guys, we're back. Taking your questions, comments, calls. 843-790-3377. That is 843-790-3377. I see my guy P-Dog. He just says, Becky. I see you in here, Becky. I see you in here, Rebecca. Appreciate you tuning in, Rebecca. Appreciate you tuning in. Here's a very, you want some honest, blunt take, opinion, comment, whatever. How about Jesse Jacobs? He says the problem's not togetherness, want to, willingness to learn, or explore. He said it's talent. Them boys up front. Let's jump to the phone line. P-Dog, what's going on, man? How are you?
Hey, babe.
What's up?
So I want to come on here and say two things.
Okay.
Number one, chill on my O-line for real. All right. That's number one. Chill on my O-line for real. You know what I mean?
Right.
They're going to be the best unit in the SEC, man. Just got to give it time, man. All right. Number two, to all the Braves fans out there that feel the need to at me on all forms of social media, keep doing it. I love it. Mets are leading right now. They got DeGrom on the mound tonight. The Braves will be back in second place by the end of the night. All right. So y'all better chill out, and y'all better be ready for when it comes back to you from my way. All right.
I love it. I know you're sweating a little bit, though. I know you're sweating a little bit.
Man, I was so damn pissed off. 3 straight games.
Do the Braves and the Mets play again or no?
Yeah, they have a 3-game set. It's the second to last series of the year. Probably decide the division.
Wow.
Yeah, we played the Braves 3-game set, and then we end the season with the Nats 3 games.
Okay, and then the Braves end with the Marlins, I see, which are games that are rescheduled from April 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. That's interesting.
Yeah, because the Braves Mets was supposed to be last series of the year. Yeah, but I just wanted to hop on here, tell people to chill on my O-line for real. And for those at me on social media about the Braves, keep it coming. Keep it coming. I love it. I want all of it. I want all the smoke. All right. Appreciate it, babe. Have a good one.
I love it. P-Mod, P-Dog. Appreciate it. Yep. Chop on, baby. Chop on. Absolutely love it. Brian Dean says, I think the O-line gets it together, puts a beat down on the Hogs 31-17. That's not a prediction. It's a spoiler. I hear you. Travis Lee says, 130 combined starts. How many more starts they need? That might be the best comment of the week. Listen, Travis Lee, they're still young. We've been young since 1896. 1896. We've been young, my guy. We're just young. That's it. We're just a year away. We're a year away, my guy. Justin says, either the offense is that confusing or Spencer isn't what we thought. I can't see it being the latter of the two. Also, I think we know it's swing pass, run. It's like a new toy to Marcus. Yeah, Justin, I would just say the comments on Rattler. I mean, dude, I will say it's one game. I think Spencer Rattler is going to be fine. His talent's what saved us.
Will from Dirty
Saturday
Myrtle.
night. Will, what's up, man? How are you?
Good. How you doing, bro?
I'm doing well, man. Appreciate you asking. What's up?
Just calling to not talk bad about the offensive line. Just kidding. So I watched the game again the other night and tried to kind of really see what happened, because when you're in the stadium, it's kind of hard to tell everything and all of that. I definitely saw. I'll give Garcia this. Spencer did escape early a little bit. There were some plays that he kind of moved out quick. But definitely saw some tight ends miss some blocks. Definitely saw guys get inside on the guards. It was kind of like an all around, it wasn't just offensive line, but they definitely didn't play good because you look at the run game and there's no excuse there. You can't blame Spencer Rattler for the run game, and there was absolutely no holes for the offensive line. They didn't open up anything. But with that said, I got to think it's going to be better this week. But it's just like, I don't know where all these people that are like, oh, we're going to do this against ARC. We're going to ram it down their throat. When have we done that?
Yeah.
Like, other than the North Carolina game, when have we done that in the last 2 years? It's been a while.
And on that note, by the way, you mentioned the UNC game. how much do you look at that UNC game now in a different scope after watching their defense give up 61 to Appalachian State?
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's a different team, but it's like, maybe there's a reason
like,
Dak Joyner looked like a Heisman Trophy winner. You know, like, all due
Yeah,
respect.
maybe there's a reason. Like, who was it that you had on the show said basically the same thing, that their run defense was
Yeah, I mean,
terrible.
Brad Lowing literally told me that was the worst
Yeah.
defensive line we played last year.
Yeah, and you can kind of see that, but I mean, I think we're going to have to take advantage of some quick passing in this game against Arkansas to kind of get our offense going. Maybe start with the pass and feed into the run, rather than trying to beat our head against the wall to start the. You know what I mean? Because it just seems like when we go on schedule and we run on first down and we get a yard, now it's like, well, they know we're passing,
right?
You know, so
yeah, no, for sure. I mean,
start off a little.
Yeah, I think you got to try to expose them in the pass game first. Number one, you just can't lean on your offensive line that way. And number two, they've got the injuries in the back half of their defense, and obviously they looked the way they did in week one. So I think that's where, if you're going to have success offensively, I think that's where it's got to be had.
Yeah, and I mean, and I think our offensive line will pick it up a little bit. They're not going to be as bad. And Georgia State, they were fired up and all that, but I'm not one of those people that's going to make excuses. Right. It's like, this is a very veteran offensive line, as veteran as you're going to see in the SEC. They should do better. Yeah. And they know that they should do better. You know what I mean? I'm sure they're not sitting around patting themselves on the back either, but just hope everything goes better next week. Hopefully Rattler can clean up some of those couple, the two throws. You know, the one to Brown wasn't that. It was a little hot, maybe a little hard. He could have caught that ball. The second one was definitely his mistake. But saw some good things, some great throws. When he did get a clean pocket, he made a couple of nice throws. The one on the run to Brooks. But, yeah, just hopefully everything gets better and we can get us a W, or at least have it a close game, you know. But for sure, this is probably the biggest momentum swinging game of the year. Because if you win this, everything looks different. Right. You know, you can put your Gamecock glasses on after that. But anyway, I'll hang up and let you talk, brother.
Will, appreciate you, man. No, thanks so much. And you know, I mean, I agree with everything Will said about the O-line in that game Saturday night. And, you know, that's why I'm not giving credit to game one jitters, or like, bro, when you have as many starts as you have together, I know there's a new quarterback and new pieces, but I mean, come on, man, like, no excuses. And then, Will, you know, I think the other thing is that the reason you're seeing fans say, you know, I think we're going to do better against Arkansas. We're going to block better. I think people are saying that because they want to have hope that's going to happen. I mean, because, Will, if you would just accept the reality that, hey, the O-line stinks. That's a bleak reality, right? Because if that's the case, if the O-line truly stinks, you ain't beating Arkansas this weekend. You're just not. You're not. So, again, I will let you guys know my prediction, of course, on Friday, my score prediction. But, you know, I'll go ahead and go on record and say, like, I'm not expecting – I think it's going to be a good game. I think it's a toss-up game. You're not going to see anybody picking South Carolina to win this game. I don't think so. I don't think you will. There's nothing, in my opinion, that – and it will be an upset. It will be an upset because there's nothing out there concrete that tells you – South Carolina should win this game, South Carolina will win this game, or that South Carolina has any glaring advantage in this game. There's nothing. There's nothing, you know? And where it matters most, line of scrimmage, I think Arkansas just got the clear advantage. I mean, I think, again, like I told you guys, I'm not going to beat a dead horse, but I accepted earlier this week, hey, the O-line's at efficiency, and we will have to win in spite of them. So how do you do that in this ballgame? I think, yet again, getting the ball to the outside quickly. I think trying to win in the passing game, getting Rattler out of the pocket, moving him around, getting creative in that regard. But I would assume it'll be another sub 100-yard rushing game. I don't think he'll eclipse 100 yards. I mean, so prove me wrong. I mean, that's it. Prove me wrong. I stand by everything I've said all week long. I've seen some people on social media get their feelings all hurt and get butt hurt. Guys, as my good friend Jake Crane said, if I wanted to make people feel good for a living, I'd go sell ice cream. That's not what I'm doing here. And Hunter Kelly, here he goes. LMAO, it was only week one. Hunter, I understand. But it was only week one, and it was only the entire season last year. You know what I mean? It's not like we just played one bad game. We played an entire bad season last year, Hunter. So, yeah, I mean, it's discouraging to see what the offensive line did. I just, you cannot spin it in some Garnet Glasses spin zone. Like, you just can't do it. So, I'm not saying that play all year, but got to be a huge improvement. What's going on, man? How are you?
Hey, Chris, how you doing, bud?
I'm doing well, man. Appreciate you asking. What's up?
I was just calling in. So after the rankings yesterday, I know they really don't mean that much right now, but after the rankings yesterday, 7 of our 11 remaining opponents are now ranked in the top 25, and then the other 4, you got Missouri and Drinkwitz, who, you know, is 3-0 against us, and then an improved Vanderbilt team. All these people saying, "Oh, it's week 1, give them time to get better." Listen, it's not going to get any easier from here. I mean, maybe South Carolina State, Charlotte stretch will be a little learning curve, but we got to get better now. There is no later give it time. It's got to be better now, or it's going to be a long season for us.
Right. And listen, we're all saying this too. It's just one game. That is an accurate statement. It was not good in week 1 on the offensive side, on the offensive line specifically. Doesn't mean you can't improve. Doesn't mean you can't make a major jump from week 1 to week 2, right? Doesn't mean that can't happen. This weekend will tell us a lot. But to your point, you are correct. You now see, and I think a lot of folks probably see why, when you look at the schedule, just specifically the schedule, why people were picking the Gamecocks to go 6-6. And many people just couldn't fathom it. But the schedule had something to do with it. It's not a schedule conducive to a major breakout year. You know what I mean? So,
right. And on this week, going into Arkansas, man, we if we're going to win this weekend, we've got to get off to a good start. We can't have a slow start. And if we get there and we can establish our offense and get going, please, for the love of God, Satterfield, do not let off the brakes. Please keep going. Don't start running the ball and going 3 and out every time. Please keep the foot on the gas pedal.
Yeah, I'd agree, man. I'd agree. Getting off to a good start on the road, it's imperative, especially after a week of, it's crazy. After a week where you won the first game, but you would not know it based off the chat. And I'm not even blaming anybody for that. It's just there were so many things left to be desired on that offensive side. And the way you played on the road last year, yeah, I definitely think it's of utmost importance you get off to a quick start. And then, yeah, I mean, hopefully, man, we have no control over it. But, yeah, Satterfield keeping the foot on the gas pedal and, just putting your best foot forward trying to win the football game. Because, again, we all agree it'd be a massive, massive win if you can find a way to get it done.
Absolutely. I appreciate you taking my call, Chris.
Yeah, man. Thanks so much for the call. I appreciate it. Great stuff. 843-790-3377. Somebody said that the chat needs a mod, right? Chris, you need a mod for the chat. We got PMod. Let's see. Joey Guyton, this weekend will tell us a lot. Either going to say we're better than what we showed week 1, or we're just going to have to say, yep, this is truly who we are this year. And again, you hate to say, well, week 2, who you are in week 2 is who you are going to be in week 13, because, the football team you feel like gets better. But again, guys, I think the point some people are missing is this, right? The point some folks are missing is the people that say, well, it's just week 1, man. It's just week. But I could argue, like, it's not just week 1 for the offensive line. That was their 130th. You talk about 129 career starts for the offensive line coming into that ball game. So it's not like you were starting a bunch of freshmen and you say, well, it's week 1, they're going to improve. At some point, it's like, when will it get figured out? Like, when will the light bulb moment come? If ever. You know what I mean? I think that's the reason people feel some type of way. Because you can say that it's, well, it was week 1. But like, was it week 1 for the O-line? That's what bothers me. Like, if Spencer Rattler didn't play his best game, and we'd argue he didn't, but let's just say the O-line played well and Rattler was kind of off, well, then the whole, like, it's just week one argument, I'd feel a lot better about. Like, yeah, week one in a new system, new scheme, I get it, right? It's going to take time to acclimate. But, like, the offensive line does not have an excuse, man. If anything, game one of year 2 in the system, they should be better. So, yeah, anyways. Anyway, like I said, I don't want to spend all week beating a dead horse, but I just keep seeing people say, man, it's just week one, calm down. But that's why people are in any other facet, hey, yeah, it's just week one. No big deal. But for this offensive line, like, it just, anyways. Brian Dean, credit, Georgia State played with a chip on their shoulder. I mean, yeah, anytime you play a team like that, they're going to play hard for sure. Michael Cavalier says, I don't see that much of a gap between Arkansas and us, except the offensive line. If the line makes the correction needed, I think we're going to see the improvements we've been talking about all offseason. Hey, we'll see. Michael, we'll see. That's a big – and to your point, I agree. If the O-line plays well Saturday, we have a very good chance to win the football game. That's a big if, Michael. Big if. Big if. Right? Let's see. Yeah, Coach Ford does make a point. Listen, I argue with Coach Ford a lot, but he says it was week one for the defense as well. I mean, Coach Ford, we all know, I think. There's certain things, there's certain football isms, right? There's football isms that are said to make fans feel better, right? In recruiting, it's, well, stars don't matter. When it comes to games and season openers, or when you're playing inferior opponents, well, we just didn't show the whole playbook. I mean, that's what it was. We only played 10% of our playbook. We didn't want to put anything on film. That's why the offense didn't look good. When you look sloppy in the season, well, I mean, it's just week one. I mean, it's week one. Like those football isms that make fan bases feel better about their team and their situation, right? Because if you looked at the reality for what it is and faced it head on, well, that makes a lot of folks uncomfortable. I mean, am I wrong? Because every fan base does it, not just Carolina, But if we'd have went out there and scored 50 points, would we still be saying, well, we didn't open up the playbook? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. And I mean, I'm guilty of it. I say the same thing. We're going to go beat Charlotte 38-14. Like, well, we just didn't open up the playbook. We didn't want to put anything on film for Kentucky. You know what I mean? That's what it is. I mean, Thomas Walker says, let's assume the O-line is going to improve. What other choice do we have? Well, Thomas, here's the problem with you saying that. And you can say that, but and I'm sure you heard me, I preached all preseason. Hey, offensive line is going to be better. They can't be any worse. And I'll be damned if in week one against Georgia State, they may not have been worse, but they tried their damnedest to make me look stupid. I mean, they really did. They really did. So I'm kind of cautious to say, well, they got to get better. Well, I don't know that they do. I don't know that they do. I don't know that they do, my guy. I mean, I hope so. I would think so. I would think so, right? I will tell you this. And I don't want to like over exaggerate or be overly dramatic, I should say, right? I don't want to be overly dramatic, but all we hear is the greatest improvement for a football team, a college football team, whatever, is made from week 1 to week 2. That's what we hear, right? That's kind of the common conception or whatever. If this O-line looks like it did in week 1, then I think I can confidently leave that game and say all of the criticism for that line was justified, and the line is what I said they were, which is a deficiency and a weakness. And that won't be an unfair assessment. Because at that point, like, fine. Hey, game 1, week 1, everybody's giving you, Gamecock Nation, all these diehards are giving you a pass, which I don't think you really even deserve. But if you want to give them a pass, fine. But if you do the same thing in week 2, it's like, well, you just kind of are what you are now. Not saying you can't improve, but like, you had that excuse in week 1. So we'll see. We'll see. Guys, we're going to jump into one final break, but I want to continue to hear from you. More of your questions, comments, calls, and more on the side. You're tuned in to the Daily Crow. All right, guys, we're back. Final 10 minutes or so here on the Daily Crow. And yes, before you remind me, I need to change that last slide. Obviously, the TSUS tour is in the books. I'm going to update that slide, I think, with our watch party schedule. So just stay tuned. Either way, I know I need to update it. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Check out the podcast that dropped this morning, episode 699. Full breakdown of Shane Beamer's comments yesterday. Of course, it's Wednesday. We're talking gambling, best bet for Carolina, Arkansas, SEC gambling picks week 2. And of course, great combo. Chris Doering of SEC Network. Really appreciate Chris taking the time. Always have a blast chatting with him and really, really cool stuff. You know, he was on the call over the weekend for the Georgia State game. Got to talk to both the Gamecocks and Panthers coaches over the course of last week. So really, really good stuff. Definitely highly suggest you check that out. Let's see. Chandler Butler. Many of you thought this is the year, and here we are already after week 1 talking about disappointment and letdown. Just accept it, and you'll be fine as I am. We're not a good football program. Oh, my goodness. Listen. Here, I think here's what people need to understand, right? I'm going to react to each game as they happen, and I'm not going to apologize for doing so. The performance we saw against Georgia State left many things to be desired, specifically on the offensive side. I don't even know how you can argue that. However, that doesn't mean, and I would almost guarantee that it doesn't mean like, well, that game against Georgia State just tells the tale for the entire season. No, it doesn't. But, and I think, again, this is where folks get confused, like on social media, and they just, oh my God, you're doom and gloom. Guys, in a one-game set, that is Georgia State, I am venting my frustrations over the way the offense performed. Was not good enough. That doesn't mean I'm expecting Carolina to lose every game it has left. I'm expecting improvement. But I'm just saying, like, why can we not be happy about the win, also be frustrated about the way the O-line played, and acknowledge it has to get better? That's it. But so many folks they just can't stand it, man. They just can't stand it. They can't stand a little criticism. They can't stand a little critiquing. Like, it's okay. Like, it's fine, guys. It's fine. We got 11 more to go. We're good. Like I said on the show on Monday, I think P-Dawg pointed it out. Hey, listen, you win this weekend at Arkansas, all is forgiven. All is fixed. All is fixed, and all is forgiven, right? All is fixed, all is forgiven. Anyways, let's see. Travi says real quick, we gave up 200 yards in the past game this past game. I know we gave up some gash runs in the first series. Do you think we can stop this Arkansas rushing attack? What do you define as stop, Travi? That'd be my
Call
question.
from
Cody, what's up, man? How are you?
Oh no, my name's Hunter. I don't know.
Oh, Hunter,
I guess all the. No, you're good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have to get this out of my system. So, it is South Carolina football. You know, you never know. Good thing about our football program, you never know who you're going to win or who you're going to lose, and especially back in Georgia, the Georgia game back in 2019, because we never knew that we were going to win that game at home, especially at their territory, and that's why I have a little kind of hopes for this Arkansas game, because week 1 we were terrible in offense, of course, and I was watching the Marcus Satterfield live on YouTube, and clearly he was, he had high hopes because of this, because they practiced very well this week. So I don't know. I mean, he could just say that just because he's on live or something, but I have high hopes for the Arkansas game.
I mean, listen, I will, as I tell everyone, right, I will go through this week. We'll break it all down. I'll make my prediction. I'm going to wake up on Saturday extremely hopeful, because I do view it still as a toss-up game. I do. Right. I view this as a toss-up. And to your point, my guy, we don't know what team's going to show up. It's Carolina football. You never know. So, like, we don't know what Arkansas team's going to show up. How good are they really, right? So we'll find out a lot this year. Or excuse me, this weekend. We'll
Right.
find out a lot this weekend. But we,
Yeah,
as we also
I don't
all
know if
know,
you've seen that,
there are some issues that have to get corrected going into that game to have any shot.
Right. And I don't know if you've seen that Clemson game, but they were struggling too against I forgot what the team was called that they were playing.
Georgia Tech.
Georgia Tech. They were struggling too against first and second quarter, and we were the same way. So, I mean, who knows? I mean, it was South Carolina, so I guess you'll never know with them.
Hey, it truly it's hard to predict in week one or hard to draw conclusions because you just never know because these teams don't get scrimmages or preseason games or whatever. So, we'll see.
Right.
We'll see, man. We'll see. So,
all right. Well, that's all I need to say. I'll let you do your thing.
hey, I appreciate it, man. Thanks so much for the call. Great stuff.
Yep.
Really, really good stuff, man. Thank you so much. Here we got my guy P-Doc's going to kill me if I don't get to this question. Over under 7.5 wins for North High School baseball this year. No seniors last year. The whole team returns. They're playing in just 20 to 24 games. I'll give you the over. I'll give you the over. This is what, by the way, this is what P-Mod said after the game Saturday night, right after. He said, let's hear it. This team is ass, is what P-Mod said. Special teams are what Shane does, so it's expected. SEC will run us clean through the ground. Mark Ryan, a.k.a. King Slapdick. No offense to Mark because we love Mark, but this is what P-Doc said. Mark Ryan was spot on with his prediction of 6-6, and you got to be patient and not expect anything until year 5. That was immediately after the game, so you can tell the emotions are running high for our good friend P-Doc. But, hey, I mean, I get it, man. Hey, in the moment. No, listen, I think we've got a great shot to beat Arkansas. I think it's going to be a good game, a good back and forth game. You guys will know my prediction later in the week. You'll know my prediction on Friday. I'll lock it in on the podcast. We'll break down this game. I'm jumping on the Hog Talk podcast or whatever their show is tonight to talk about the game. We'll break this thing down, dissect it every which way. I think it's going to be a good game. It's not like Carolina's playing Georgia this weekend. Like Arkansas is a beatable team. This is a winnable game. And it's a huge game. Listen, week one was week one. Week one was week one. We know the problems. We know the issues that haunted us in week one. If, and a major if, but if you can get those things corrected, take that into Fayetteville, you got a shot. You have a real shot to win the football game. But it's got to get corrected. It's got to get corrected. You will not win this game without sound play at the point of attack. You will not win this game without high-quality play on the line of scrimmage. You just have to. And so, I mean, that's what makes me so skeptical. That's what makes you guys so skeptical because of our, what is our weakness? What is their strength? But nobody's sitting here saying it's impossible. Nobody's saying it's impossible. It's a tall task. On the road, you didn't play well on the road last year, but you never know. It's college football, guys. You never, ever know. Guys, that being said, we've hit 2 o'clock. Appreciate you all tuning in. Thank you all so much for the love and support, all the engagement, the calls, everything, guys. Be sure to check out the podcast that dropped this morning. Stay tuned to all the content. Again, thank you all so much for everything, for the support all across the business, the merchandise, the podcast, the live show, social media. Y'all are the best. Again, thank you all so much. Have a great rest of your Wednesday, and we will talk to you all tomorrow.